Welcome back to my live show. I'm Shanta Prince, and I help women coaches leverage their gifts and expertise to build profitable and purposeful coaching and consulting brands. So, today I want to talk about one of the most important things when it comes to building a profitable brand, building a powerful personal brand when it comes to those of us who are in the coaching, consulting, mentorship space. And that is, you probably guessed it from the title, is content. So, one of the things about content creation that I don't know if enough people really understand this is that your content is one of the most important components of your brand. One of the most important components of your brand. So if you're in a place and you're trying to grow your business, you're trying to get clients, you're trying to close sales, but you don't have any content, then you may need to go back and focus on the foundation of building content, because when you create content, you literally begin to build your platform that your brand can stand up on. Okay. So let me just go back. Let me backtrack a little bit and talk about what I mean when I say content. So when I'm talking about content, I mean information that or any kind of information, inspiration, or media that you produce to share with your audience. And so that can be any kind of information that you're sharing, whether it's something to inspire, which is something that my audience loves. My audience loves inspirational type of content. My audience also love informational content. But of course, you want to have a balance among the different types of content for your brand. So you don't want to have like all how-to content or all inspirational content. You want to be able to have a balance among the different types of content that you can actually create for your brand to give people an understanding of who you are, right? So it's just like it's hard to get to know someone if you only know one side of them. If you only ever see a person in one setting, then that's all you know about that person. So when it comes to branding, you want to give your audience a complete perspective of what your brand is, who you stand for, who you are, and what services you provide. And you do that by creating various types of content so they can get an understanding of who you are and understand why they should choose you. So what I see is I see people, they want the clients, they want the business, they want the opportunities, but they're not creating any content. Can you imagine going into the store? And I'm like, this has happened like a few times where I've went into the grocery store looking for a specific item and the shelves are completely cleaned out, right? Of course, I know you probably experienced it when COVID first started. Going to the store and seeing that the shelves are empty, right? So many days I went to find like Lysol wipes and sanitizer and couldn't find a thing. The shelves were cleaned out, right? So when it comes to growing your business and you're building a personal brand as a coach or a consultant or a mentor, and people are coming to you, but they have nothing. Like your shelves are empty because you haven't created any content. When you create content, that's your work, right? Let me tell you, the other night I talked to my clients about how branding is really about perception and not deception. Here's what I mean by that. Deception is trying to get people to think that you're someone who you're not, right? And that's not what I'm talking about, because you really can build a brand that's not based on your authentic self, right? And so I'm not talking about deception, but a brand really is built on perception. It's what are people perceiving about your brand based on how you're showing up. Also, what does your audience perceive as valuable? And are you providing that? Okay, so here's the thing: when you create content on a regular basis and you add value to your audience and you're connecting with your audience on a regular basis, then there's a certain perception that comes from a person who does that. And so you really have to think about how you're showing up and ask yourself, am I showing up the way that I should be to represent my brand and to serve my audience? Because what you're doing is creating some kind of perception, whether you want to accept it or not. there's a specific type of perception that's being created about you and about your brand based on how you're showing up. If you're not showing up at all, and then you want to, try to get that first client, or you want to close that first sale, the struggle can be real unless that person already knows you from, a previous situation or previous setting. If people are just now meeting you, you want to give them a really amazing perception, right, of your brand. You want them to be able to perceive great things about you, including who you are, what you stand for, and what services you provide. And all of that can come out of the content that you're sharing on a regular basis. So for brands and for personal brands, when you're putting out, sharing value, adding value on a regular basis, then that levels up the perception of your brand. For example, for me, I know that when I get ready to make an investment, one of the things that I'm looking for clues, right? We know that success leaves clues. For example, when you look at a person who runs track, for example, you can find the clues that point to their success. Maybe they've run a lot of races. Maybe you can look at their physique and tell that they work out on a regular basis. There are clues that point to success, right? So when you're building your brand, some people look for clues that point to if whether or not you can do what you say you can do, right? So if you're saying, well, I can help you do this, then some people are going to look for clues about that. They're going to look for clues that point to the fact that you actually can do what you say you can do. And a lot of that can be found in your content. So I always encourage my clients to get on a regular routine of creating content so that people can get a feel for their brand and get an understanding of who they are and why the people in their audience should choose them to solve that specific problem. And so when you're creating content, it's your work. It's like a service, right? It's your work. It's what you're putting forth. It's just like, for example, when someone going to school, something that I know so well, going to college or getting a postgraduate degree, we have to write a lot of papers. And that's one reason why I haven't went back to school yet, because I'm not ready to write those papers just yet. But writing papers is like that is your work, right? And so when you submit that work, you get a grade back, right? They're looking at the content that you created, and then they're giving you a grade based on that content. It's the same way with business. When you are growing your business, you're building your brand, you're creating content. Your audience is looking at your content like, okay, this is pretty good. Okay, you start to become known as the person who has the solution to their problem. Now, content is not just for beginners, right? It's definitely, if you don't have clients yet, I sent this out in the email earlier. If you don't have clients yet, you should absolutely be creating content. And I know that you may be wondering, well, why? Why should I create content if I don't have clients yet? Because your content can lead to clients. I saw a post the other day of a friend of mine who she made a post about how someone clicked on her podcast and they tracked her down and became a client based on her podcast. Now, I'm not saying you have to have a podcast, but a podcast is just one version of content. But someone became a client from the content that she created. And so what happens is, I had another client who, before she started working with me, she asked me for some of my content. She wanted to see my content. And so I was able to send her a long list of videos, a long list of content that I've created in the past, so that she could get a feel for who I am and if I'm actually able to help her. She ended up becoming a client. And so what happens is when people see your content, they see the work that you're doing, either they will resonate with it or they won't. And if they don't resonate with it, then that's perfectly okay. It just means that that's not your ideal client. But when they do resonate with it, then the logical next step is to join your program or enroll in your next workshop, whatever it is that you're offering. Now, of course, not everyone is going to enroll based off of your content, but a lot of your clients will. So what you really want to do when it comes to building your personal brand and growing your platform is you want to get on a regular schedule of creating content. Like I'm here with you guys every Thursday, right? Whether you watch me live or you go back to watch the replay. And I know a lot of you guys watch the replay too because you let me know that you're watching the replay. So thank you for those of you who watch live and go back and watch the replay. So I'm here with y'all every Thursday, right? So you see me here and you have come to know me, you trust me, you know that I can do the things that I tell you that I can do. And sometimes you even reach out and say, hey, I need help with this, or I got this going on. Or you may reach out and say, hey, how can I work with you? How can I get in your program? And I love those kind of messages, of course, because it lets me know that my content is effective. But based on me hanging out with you every Thursday, you know me and you trust me, right? And I know that you will not have any hesitation on working with me in the right time, the right setting. So that's because of the track record that I've built with creating content. I have been live um, every single day on Thursdays, every single day this year, every Thursday with y'all. And so, except like if you go back and you look at my videos, like for example, if you go to my YouTube channel, you will see like a long trail of videos. I think there's like one Thursday that's not up only because that was a launch video. Actually, I may go back and put that video back. But it was a launch video. I think I'm gonna go back and put that video back on there. But when I launched, it was a Thursday, and I usually take my launch videos down. So that would be the only time you wouldn't see my video on a Thursday. But I think I'm gonna go back and add that video. But in essence, you guys, when you're creating content, there's a level of excellence, there's a level of mastery that comes with creating content on a regular basis. And when I say content creation for next level branding, what content should be should be something that you're doing regardless of where your brand is, especially if you're just starting out. But when I'm talking about next, when you're building a brand, when I'm talking about next level branding, I'm really talking about building a personal brand to support your business for the long game. People who just want something temporary do things differently than someone who's in this for the long game. And I teach, this is what I work with my clients. We talk about the long game. We talk about starting an email list. We talk about starting from where you are and then building and not rushing into things because we're in this thing for the long game, right? Like my business is not going anywhere. So I have time to implement the things. I don't have to rush. I don't have to feel overwhelmed. But my strategy is going to be different from someone who just wants to create a business and make a little extra cash over the summer, right? That's not like a long game type of business. Like when you're in business for the long game, then you do things differently. And those of you who are you're building your business for the long game. Maybe you want to retire. Maybe you want to make 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, whatever the vision is that God has given you, then you really have to consider what type of content you're creating and if you even have a content strategy. Over 80% of marketers, I think the exact number is 82%. 82% of marketers are using content as a part of their marketing strategy, right? That's most, right? That's majority, but that's most. Most marketers are using content as a part of their marketing strategy. And if you sell anything, you are a marketer, right? You are in the business of marketing because how are you going to sell your product if you're not marketing? So most marketers are using content as a part of their strategy, right? It's called content marketing. And so if you don't have a content marketing strategy in place, I want you to send me a message. Just send me a quick message and say, hey, Shanta, I listened to your session on content and I don't have a strategy in place. I would love to talk to you about how I can help you to create your content marketing strategy. Content ideas, content strategy, that is my jam. And it's something that comes to me easily. It's just my God-given gift, right? So my God-given gift is to help you take your God-given gift and amplify it in the form of content so that you can draw the right people to you and you could get the kind of clients that you're looking for. But not only that, creating content on a regular basis also opens the door for you to get more opportunities to get booked on stages, other people's platforms. Y'all, it makes a huge difference. One of the things that when someone is considering me to be on their platform, you guys, they always ask me for my social media handles. They ask me for my website. They ask me for my social media handles. They'll ask me what podcasts or what platforms have I been on previously. They will ask me for my YouTube YouTube channel. And even though I'm not actively growing, putting a lot of effort into growing an audience on YouTube at this time, I will in the near future. But the fact that all of my videos are on YouTube, I'm able to send them a link with all of my videos so they can see if I'm going to be a great fit for their show. So creating content also opens the door for you to get on other people's platforms, other people's stages, whether it's virtual or in person. And then guess what happens? When you start shining and when you start speaking and showing up on other people's platform, people are going to fall in love with you. And then they're going to look for you and they're going to come and join your pages. They're going to send you messages and they're going to connect with you because they're going to love your content and your personality. So think about how you can get in a regular habit if you're not already. Some of you may already be. I know my clients, they already understand the power and the importance of creating content on a regular basis. But if you're not creating content on a regular basis, that's okay. You can start now. Listen, we still got time, right? We have an entire quarter left in this year. You can end this quarter strong, rounding up a really nice year for yourself. So you can still end this year strong by pushing it to the finish line in this last quarter and start creating some content for yourself, content for your brand and for your audience on a regular basis. You guys, you've got to see this as a part of business. It's got to be a part of your marketing strategy. And listen, don't just like throw stuff together, right? Think about how you can create masterful content, how you can create really awesome stuff and put it out there into the world and inspire people, inform people, break some of the false beliefs that they have. Some of those things that are keeping those false beliefs that are keeping them stuck. Serve your audience, right? Use your gifts, serve your audience, and then you'll start to see a shift in the perception of your brand, a shift in the perception of you and who you are. So let's talk about some different ways you can actually create content. So I talked to you about how the podcast, the friend that found the client off of a podcast, that's just one form of content, right? The reason why I want to cover this really quickly is because there's so many different ways to create content, and you don't have to feel boxed in like, oh, I have to do it this way or I have to do it that way. Now, I do encourage my clients to do video. That's just enough. That's another form of content. You guys, we have Clubhouse now. If you don't like to, be on camera, you can leverage the power of Clubhouse because that's just audio. So if you just want to use your voice, you can still create some really powerful content by leveraging Clubhouse or podcasting because you don't have to show your face on either of those platforms. You can also create video content, which is my favorite. I love doing video. I also love the audio versions as well. But if you're strong with writing, you could also be a blogger because people think that blogging is dead. It absolutely is not. I promise you, every single day I'm on somebody's blog, reading up on something, whether it's a recipe or whether it's how to do something, whether it's to get some ideas about something. Like I'm on somebody's blog at least once a day. Then that's a minimum, right? So blogging is still very much alive. If you are a strong writer, then you could put out content by blogging. But whatever you do, look to do it on a regular basis, on a consistent basis. And then you'll be able to look back before you know it and look at the trail, the trail of content that you're leaving. And then you can repurpose that content and leverage it in so many different ways. Okay. So once again, if you're struggling with creating content or you're struggling with ideas, just send me a message. I will be glad to give you some content ideas for whatever your niche is, right? My clients know that content ideas or any kind of ideas when it comes to creating content, creating offers, I'm never short on ideas. And that's just because I honestly believe that God is he's an abundant God. And a lot of people, when they think about abundance, they think about like money or wealth, and those things are true too. But when I think about abundance, like when it pertains to my God-given gifts, I'm like, God never runs out of ideas. And because God never runs out of ideas, I never run out of ideas. So if you're struggling with ideas for what kind of content to create around your business, your brand, just send me a quick message and let me know. Hey, Shanta, look, I'm trying to come up with some ideas for some content around whatever your brand is, and I'll give you a couple of free content ideas, right? Meaning, I won't I won't send you an invoice for a consultation fee. So I will send you a couple of ideas if you're really struggling with what type of content you can create. I'll give you a couple of content ideas at no cost to you if you go ahead and send me a quick message and let me know that you need content ideas. All right, guys. So I'm actually about to get off with you and go create some content myself. So and then I have a call later on where that call is about content, kind of, but I'll let you know a little bit about that later on as it unfolds. But I'm actually getting ready to go spend a little time creating some content myself, and I will see you back here at the same time next Thursday at 12 o'clock. So in the meantime, send me a quick message on Facebook, or you can message me on LinkedIn. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can come on over to Facebook or LinkedIn, or just email me at info@shantaprince.com. All right. You have a wonderful Thursday and a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you back here next week. Have a great one. See you again soon.